Welcome back to Lost for Words with Lori. Well, it's Monday, 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 and it is July the 18th. And it's been a hot minute since I've talked to all you beautiful people, and I hope you are all doing well. It has been a minute, like I said before, and I've been busy, busy, busy. I have a new brood of kittens. I know you guys have maybe listened to one of my previous podcasts about the uh, infamous Murray who showed up and adopted me and decided that I needed a cat, even though I've never owned a cat a day in my life. And the lessons that I'm learning about being a cat human. Well, I took the cat in and she proceeded to have kittens a week ago. And so now I am a cat mom. And I'll tell you, that has been quite a wonderful journey. I'm learning a lot about caring for a cat and kittens. And I'm loving it because they are absolutely adorable. But I'll get into that in another thing. But I hope you are all doing very well. You know, I'm a 51-year-old woman, and now I'm officially the crazy cat lady on my weird little journey of whatever you want to call it, being a better human and trying to unwrap my grief journey and learn all these new things about myself. And I do a lot of research, so I go online and I try to find interesting things while I'm doing my own shadow work and homework through therapy and all of the things that I'm trying to learn about myself. And um, I have distractions like TikTok and other social medias and things that I do, and I love the TikTok platform. It helps me distract and find things to do that are lighthearted and fun, and get away from toxic cesspool world for a while. And even though I do learn a lot of valuable lessons, through toxic cesspool world, and but I was going through the TikToks and I was watching something that sparked a really interesting concept and something that I kind of wanted to unwrap quickly because it really made me think. And it's very relevant to part of my journey and the things that I've been talking with, my friends and people on the social medias and people that I'm getting close to, and it affects my first world. And that's the theory or the concept, I guess, or if you'll, bear with me on this, about heroes versus villains. And this all ties back to, what I talk about with toxic cesspool world and social medias, but also, people who enjoy fantasy and movies. But it's something to think about, and that would be the difference between heroes and villains, or, heroines and damsels in distress. Um, in my world, it would be the difference between survivors and victims. Now, when we talk about, heroes versus villains, what do heroes and villains have in common? Well, they both have a tragic past and a sad story of something that's usually pretty traumatic and deals with them losing something. Normally, it's pretty heavy and it has to do with a lot of loss and grief. Um, and we know this from pretty much every story, the heroes and villains, especially when it comes to comic book heroes and that kind of stuff. And they're usually orphaned or they lose their parents or there's something of that nature, right? In all of the comic book hero villain classic stories, right? Um, and the heroes and the villains have that in common. And that's how it starts. But that's also where it ends. And what's different about them is how they react to that trauma. And that's what I've been thinking about is what makes them different. What makes your heroes different than your villains, your survivors different from your victims, your heroines different than your damsel in distress. And what path do they choose? And it's how they react to their trauma. Your heroes have accountability. They're empathic. Um, they decide that their past was so bad that they never want to see other people have to go through that again. And they use their past trauma to try to do something good, not to spread hate, not to, uh, you know, create chaos. They want to prevent that at all costs. They want to try to educate, to teach, um, to help people do better, be better. Where the villains have an absolutely opposite reaction, and they respond with rage and anger, without acceptance. It's not about goodness; it's about hatred and division, and um, they will make everyone suffer for the injustice that they were incurred. It's not fair, it's basically a big tantrum, and they become the bullies. And so that it becomes about power and anger and hatred and rage instead of one of compassion and empathy. And I really thought about that a lot today after watching and listening, and how relevant that is, and how that really kind of relates to the people that I know on the social medias and in Talk Successful World, and all of the infighting, and even my friends and the people I know, and how we're all struggling in our own journeys, and and how I'm working on myself. And I had to ask myself, am I a hero? Or am I a villain? Am I a survivor or am I a victim? And it's interesting, to look back at the journey that I've been on, and which periods of my life where I could have made those decisions based on my own traumas, my own loss, my own grief, to take out my anger and rage on other people and become that bully and become that villain, or continue to be a good human and influence people and be a hero, a survivor. So which one do you want to be? Which one are you? Always trying to be a better version of yourself, or taking out your rage and anger and making others suffer? But what do you think? Wash your fucking hands. Be a good human. Love you guys.